So today, Veronica and I are going to talk about something which many of us, I think, struggle with, which is to make connections or do more engagement, while most of our focus in on creating content. So we thought we do a crash course about this particular venue of growth. I think the real work on Substack is actually making connections. So Veronica, tell us, how do you manage them?
We're here to have an open conversation on how we can unlock these connection things. And I think it's healthy maybe to talk openly about the issue. Why are we talking about these in the first?
Mm,
I'm going to talk about something that was a challenge for me for months when I started. And I think a lot of people can relate, which
mm,
is the focus on just creating content. And this is how the goes. You send a newsletter, you put a lot of focus and a lot of effort into your post, and then it goes out and it doesn't have the success that you're expecting, whatever that bar might be. And then what do we do? Instead of actually finding ways to connect with people, we then go like,
mm,
I'm going to send another one. And we start almost overloading people with a lot of content without
mm,
going deeper into that.
mm,
I do find, and I've been on Substack since early 2023. And from 2024 and particularly 2025, I saw a big shift. And I really saw that whereas in the past, sending information was good and people wanted to consume because we didn't have this amount of information that we have now. With AI, there's really been a change. And I think people are
mm,
not so keen to consume more and more because that's what we're already doing every single day. Chat GPT, Netflix, whatever that might be, we're consuming so much. And what I did find is that people are really looking for this community, for this connection. And
mm,
so that's the issue, right? Is how to go from just overloading people with content to actually
mm.
forums, but finding ways where you can let people in. And my strategy, so you're going to remember this, is let them in. You don't have to like group chat. That's okay. You don't have to do live sessions. That's okay. But find your own ways to let people in. So remember these three words from today. And that's my
Mm.
key in terms of how you can build that connection. And now we can go into the more strategic stuff and the more tactical stuff. But the high level picture is what are we doing today to really let people in and not just you getting out?
That's the amazing, simplest way of putting such a complex topic. So let people in. So far, we have been seeing a Substack and any other platform as a broadcasting platform where we come and we say our thing, and then we expect people to come back to us with either comments, or if they agree with us or they disagree with us, we wait. Now, you're saying let people in. My question is how? Give us examples, please.
Well, I love examples because it's the only way where we can really
Mm,
match this concept that can seem a little bit abstract. So let's start from the very beginning. And this can be a bit of homework for everyone, including ourselves. The very first piece of content that you're going to send your subscribers when they first sign up is your welcome email. For
mm,
me, the most boring piece of information out there, and I know because it used to be mine, make sure that I don't fall into spam. Your first email is an amazing opportunity for connection, but you have to create. You ask me, it's not just about telling what the lemon tree mindset is about, but letting people, so maybe asking them a question. What is a project that you're excited about? Where do you
mhm.
doesn't have to be a connection about something technical. It can be something about, hey, I'm in Hong Kong, I'm Spanish, I'm a mom. I'd love to hear something from you. So that's one little piece of content where you have an opportunity already to bring people in. Now, I'm not going to
Mm,
say a person replies to my welcome email. Absolutely not. But it's definitely more than when it was just the sterile, welcome to my publication. This is what you can expect. So that's number one example, using your
mhm.
welcome. And I'm going to throw the ball back at you, Neera. What are some of the ways or channels to create that connection with very simple how to examples?
Okay, so first of all, I'll actually answer to your suggestion that have a question in your welcome email. I do have a question in welcome email. And in fact, whenever I have someone subscribe to my newsletter, I ask them one question. What is your number one struggle at the moment? And many people come back with that answer. So that's an amazing tip. But while you were suggesting this, I came up with another question which all of us can use and which is probably much less thought provoking, but something people will take up very quickly. Why not ask them, tell me about yourself and what are you doing on Substack?
Love
So
it.
that way, it's not threatening. It's not making them think for an answer what I'm struggling at the moment. It is just tell me about yourself, which is what we do when we meet new people and we want to ask them, okay, tell me about yourself. And that is the question. So if you're looking for a tip to let people in, ask in your welcome email to people, tell me about yourself and what are you doing on Substack? Or you can also ask them, tell me about yourself and what brought you to subscribe to my Substack. Simple question. Okay. So your question was, what am I doing? Letting people in. I think there is an opportunity for us when we do not have too many people joining subscribing to our Substack. And I go through phases when there is only three, four, five people joining. I actually get to know them by going to their Substacks and see what they have written, what is their field. And if they're new, then I write to them. Welcome to Substack. I see you are new. I'm so grateful you subscribed to me. Is there any way I can help you? And that starts the conversation. But you can't do that, obviously, when you have 20, 30 people subscribing to you. Maybe you can if you have a script and you can send it automated way. But even if you can do it once a week, go through the people who have subscribed to your Substack in that week and have some way of personal connection, getting to know them. That opens many doors for you than sending more posts and sending more content. What did you think?
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned a point that's key. You said if you have the bandwidth, because something that's very interesting about connection is that it's hard to scale. And so it's important
Mm,
about scalability and how you're going to be adjusting your strategy.
mm,
So in my case, the Lemon Tree Mindset is now sizable publication of over 10,000 subscribers. So obviously I don't have the bandwidth to do that. It wouldn't be sustainable. My Spanish
mm,
one is 3,000. So there I have more room to play. But some people have under 200. And I actually think that when you have a smaller publication, is a really, really good opportunity to have this
yeah,
connection of what you're saying. If you're having one or two subscribers a day, doesn't sound like a lot, but actually that allows you to create that connection. Now, when you go into the next phase, which is, well, how do I scale? There's one strategy that not many people use, and in fact, not many people even know, which is the segmentation of your emails. And I know that you have done,
mhm,
I do it as well. And basically, if you go to your dashboard in subscribers, you can find it
mm,
there. One of the
mm,
fields, actually the stars to see who are your most engaged subscribers. And what you can do is extract, for example, the 4 stars and 5 stars. So these are people who are reading what you're saying, who are connected in a way. And I
mm,
just, hey, thank you so much for being one of my most engaged readers. I would love to hear from you. Please reply to my email. I even ask, let me know what you're struggling with, and I will send you a personalized resource to help you with your journey. To scale that connection while keeping it personal. It's still Veronica, it's not automated, and it gives people that opportunity to have proximity. So, again, think of where you are today and how you can make that connection scalable as you grow.
That's a great point you have just made because I have used that a number of times. So I have written a couple of posts about it, how I started having quite frequent conversations with my most engaged subscribers. It's very easy to extract them from that backend, from the settings that you go and look at activity and who are 4 star and 5 star subscribers. And in fact, they are your actual readers. They are the meat. How about connecting with people on notes and chats? And what should one write on a note? Because usually notes are very small and you're only saying one thought at a time or one tiny story at a time. How can you invite people in? Because now you're not only just talking to your own subscriber, you're talking to the people outside your subscriber base.
So, the approach is actually very similar. This idea of let them in. And one of the things that I see very often in notes is that people focus a lot on output, on putting a lot of content out there and expecting people to like. And then I see two things, and I'm going to talk about those. The first is I look at these notes that don't necessarily have a lot of engagement, but they might have a couple of comments. And then the author never got back to those comments or got back with a thank you, Neera. I appreciate you. And what a missed opportunity because very often it depends, of course, on the comment. It says, "Oh, this is great. I tried it, and I also noticed that the group chat works, or whatever that might be." If you just say, "Oh, thank you for your comment," that's the end of the connection. If instead you say, "Hey, Mira, tell me more about it. Feel free to share your chat here," then
Mm,
connection to the next level. But you have to have this abundance mindset that is not just about getting a lot of likes and a lot of vanity metrics, but really engaging with the two or three people who actually put in the effort as one of the quick fixes. And the same applies to comments on posts. I see these posts that have three or four comments, and the author didn't even say a thank you note, didn't even take that opportunity to reply. Many of my paid subscribers, it actually starts with a comment that then
mm,
evolves conversation. And very often from that conversation, I will say, hey, now that I know what that person is struggling with or what they want to achieve, here is a free resource. I don't try to sell them anything, but they see that
mm,
it's trying to send them something that helps. And ultimately they're like, oh, I want to explore more. I want to know what else you have. So that's the beginning of the journey, but we have to let them in.
mm. So I think that you mentioned a very fair point that people don't respond back to the comment. I think what lacking in there is, and it has happened to me a couple of times, is if you don't immediately respond to that, it goes out of your notifications and somehow you lose track unless until you go and really spend time on your desktop and go and look for who has written to you previously and check each and every note and each and every of your posts. Remedy to that is every day set aside 15 to 20 minutes in the morning and 15 to 20 minutes in the evening and sit in front of the desktop, not phone, because most of the time we read our notes, our comments on phone. And people like me who can't type fast enough on phone, they say, okay, I'll respond to that later. And then later never comes. So now I have built myself this system that every day in the morning and in the evening, 15 to 20 minutes, just responding to notes and writing to people I need to connect with. What is your schedule of commenting and engaging with people? How do you do it?
So, Anira, I'm smiling because I don't know if you were watching me this morning, but when I woke up at 5 a.m., I was having my coffee. That's exactly what I was doing. Not from my phone, from my computer. I was actually just making sure that I reply to everyone. And if relevant, I send a resource. So I make sure up with those connections. So that's exactly what I do. Instead of doing it scattered throughout the day on the phone, which is very disruptive and it really
Mm,
takes away. I try to put my phone away during the day so like I can
mm,
focus on work. And I
mm,
having this system of for me because I have kids and it's quieter in the morning, taking that 30 minutes to reply to everyone is something that really helps you with that connection. Of course, sometimes you're gonna miss it, but that said, it's a principle. It's this principle of someone took time of their day to leave a
mm.
comment, share something. I want to take time of my day to get back to that person. That's the principle. And sometimes you might miss it. It's okay. It's like the idea of I exercise every day. If you miss the workout one day, it doesn't matter, but it is a principle and it's kind of
Yeah.
like me. I want to give you back.
That's amazing. And I like this point that if you miss a day, no big deal, just like exercise. If you miss a day, no big deal. But if you're doing it continuously, I found another thing. If when I was just going there now and then and checking my feed, I was getting feed from mostly from the same people I have been communicating with. But once I have gone through all that, next day, many of people have not written a note or post. Then I started seeing feed from or notes or posts from people I have not connected with ever. So all of a sudden, that little consistency has brought me in contact with the people who I have not yet connected with. And these are new people, and they were writing beautiful stuff. You are very good in raising discussion topics for your chat. I've been participating in that quite a lot. How do you come up those questions, and how do you tell people to do it in their chats? How can they find those kind of nuggets for discussions?
So, to be honest, Nira, I think the key to the chat is more than actually picking a topic that is really interesting, is building
Hmm.
it so that people actually want to participate in the chat. It takes so long. So, the key advice that I would give is don't be afraid to talk to the wall. I've talked to the wall so many times of putting a topic in the chat and not a single person replied. And if there was one heart, it's because it was probably and so I think a lot of people, they give up very quickly because maybe
Mm,
they need the chat one, they have a small community. So obviously the engagement is going to be very small and it time to build traction. But I think you have to keep up. And even nowadays with a bigger community, some of my chats, they don't really get a lot of traction. So I think this idea of talk to the wall, it's fine. I always give an example that kind of helps me breathe and and be a little bit relieved. And it's a bit like when you're having a dinner conversation, and some points they lead to a great conversation, and some others they die down. Don't take it personal. That
mm,
lead to something because people are interested. There's momentum, and others don't read. And more tactically in terms of what topics, I can tell you what doesn't work because I have done a lot of things that don't work. And is, for
mhm,
example, using the chat to ask a generic, "Hi everyone, let me know what are you interested in? What would you like me to talk about next?" People will
mm,
ask my family, "What do you want to eat?" My daughters are like, "I
mm,
don't know." I said, "Oh, fish or chicken?" "No fish, no fish," because you're giving them very specific
mm,
option of having like this very generic conversation. Try to make it.
mhm,
Let me give you some examples that can be relevant. If we're talking, for example, about people who want to grow their newsletters, I know that a
mm,
topic very interesting is what do you think is the ideal cadence to send a newsletter? And I actually did that a few months ago, and it's something that I'm sure every single one of the 47 people who are watching today they're thinking, what is the ideal cadence? I didn't
mm,
just when are you sending your newsletter? It was more specific, but try to
mm.
put yourself in the shoes of your audience and what are some topics that you think are going to be relevant for them and make it in a way that you're already planting the seed.
So my last question to you, Veronica, is: have you got an example where a connection led to an opportunity for you?
I have so many, and I would say that pretty much every single opportunity was actually born from a connection. I have one that is from last week. Every week, I post a thread in my group chat at the Lemon Tree Mindset to invite people to collaborate. There's no
Mhm,
agenda. Come here, pitch your idea, find your next guest, find your next
mhm,
life partner, like Neera and I are doing today. And last
mhm.
week, I actually found three opportunities to collaborate that came from my own chat. So one was Victoria Verde, who just became a bestseller. She's one of my paid subscribers, and she talks about languages, which is something that I'm very
Mm,
passionate about, even though it's not the
mm,
top I cover the Lamachi mindset. So I wrote a guest post for her publication that went out a
mm,
couple of ago. Second one was a woman called Catherine Gallagher, who features people who have transitioned from the corporate world to the solopreneur. And I was like, oh, that's me. I'd love to.
mm. Yeah.
But all of that
Mm,
started from connections. And in fact, even you and I, everything that we're doing here today, this is like our third or fourth life together, is because we've connected previously. It wasn't just I'm sending a newsletter. So it really
mhm.
and close the loop and say, hey, actually, everything that you're going to create probably comes from this initial seed of connection.
That's amazing. And also, since there are a few questions, I think we'll jump into those so that we don't miss them. The most recent one is from Lena, and she says, how many subscribers did you have when you started monetizing? So, do you want to give a quick answer, Veronica?
I think when I started monetizing was a few months into my Substack, but it was very, very marginal. When I really started to see a bit of scaling monetization was around the 1,000 mark or so. What I think can be more helpful is to give a percentage of what is usually the conversion rate that is expected. In my
Mm,
case, around 2 to 3%. I know that Substack likes to say that is more 5 to 10%. I have not seen
mm,
those in my community.
mm,
You are 5%. I think you're doing extremely well. So I think from this. you can work your math. And what I will say is that if you have this very small community, the numbers are not going to work to your advantage. It doesn't mean that you cannot turn on the paywall,
Mhm.
but just keep those numbers in mind so that you manage expectations. 2 to 3%, I would say, is fair.
And my quick 2 cent worth is turn your pledge on right from the beginning. When you feel there is few people who have taken the pledge and you feel comfortable with that, turn the paid one on. So that's the best way of having both things. Next question is from Kathleen. Do each of you have a standard way of responding to a nice comment on a post or note? So what do you say, Veronica?
I will go first. And I don't have a framework as such, but I have something that I always try to avoid. And is how can I go beyond the thank you, Kathleen? That was a great comment, or I appreciate you. That's my only framework, is try to go on. If I don't know what to say, I might sometimes even go into Kathleen's profile. In this case, for example, I see what she's writing about. I say, oh, I see that you write about these. Great to connect, or something that is just deeper. So the
Mhm.
find a way to connect more than just the thank you. That's my strategy. There's no sophisticated way, but it is about finding a way to building connection.
I think you put the finger on the nerve here. I too always go back and check that person's profile and their Substack when they have sent me a nice comment because now I want to know them. They have my attention now. Okay, Mike is asking on liking our own content, yes or no, and why? No. So, do you like your own content?
Always. I always like it, but it's not so much about having an extra like. For me, it's the mindset. And I actually wrote this book, The Lemon Tree.
Mhm.
One of the lessons here is be your best ambassador. And I
Mhm.
strongly that you have to be the person who is cheering for you. That you have to be the
Yeah.
person like you can do this, good job. And so for me, more about actual putting the like or not is this mindset of be your own supporter. So for me, absolutely yes, I have no shame. As I said, if you see one heart only is probably mine. So I'm the best ambassador.
Oh, I'm exact opposite. I never like my own content. So I need to now start doing that. That's another point we haven't discussed. Do you repost your content?
Yes, but with strategy. For example,
Mm,
there is a post that I want to share. Then I might add a context or a question, for example. Let me give you an example that we make it more practical. Every month, I issue a monthly report. And then, by the way,
mm,
practice is great. It really helps people understand everything that you're doing in a more holistic.
mhm.
And so I did restart the post afterwards. And I did say exactly what I just told you. The monthly report is a great practice. It helps you connect with people, be more strategic, be more critical as well. Do you
Mm,
do report? And so it's not me resharing content, but it's actually trying to open a conversation, trying to explain why it's important.
I borrowed that idea from you. I think it was last year. I read one of your monthly reports, and in which I think you said that you should write a monthly report post always. And I took it from that month, and every month I'm writing a monthly report and I'm loving it. Because it's not only just for the audience or your readers who get to know what you have covered in that month. For me, also, I'm finding that I have no idea how much I have grown in that month. And that going back 30 days and talking about the things I have already talked about, talking about my own feeling growth, everything helps me actually wonder at my own progress. For me, that is the real aim of a monthly report is because most of the time we put ourselves down. We haven't done this. We haven't reached to the point we wanted to reach. But no, if you go back just 30 days and write about it, you'll find how much you have achieved. I've gone back and there is one comment from Chad which I wanted to share. I'm finding it easier to meet and build relationship on Substack than any other platform, especially X. I agree with him.
I agree. I think that's why so many people are coming to Substack because they're finding a type of online community that is unlike any others. I left,
Mm,
I did find that it was very toxic, and the way that people grow there, I found is just by trying to be very conflictive. And it's
mhm,
not that really resonates with me. I'm very active on LinkedIn, but you find that it's very performative in the sense that everyone is very
mhm.
a niche, and everything seems to be very framed and inside a box, and you can't really be more of yourself and be more creative. And I think on Substack,
Mm,
it's a place where people go, and sometimes I'm talking about the lemon tree mindset, and sometimes I'm talking about my daughters, and I don't really have to measure or be afraid of showing who I really am. I think it's really the
mm,
writers platform by excellence, and
mm.
that's what on it. I think a lot of people are finding that is a great place to connect.
On LinkedIn, when you get a DM from someone, mostly it is someone trying to sell you something. On Substack, when you get a DM from someone, mostly it is complimenting you on your work and wanting to make a connection. So that is the difference between other platforms and Substack. People really want to know you, and it's much easier to know other people over here because you can go and read their content, and then you can reach them without any barriers. You can just write a simple message. It's not stopped by any of the algorithm. Okay, so thank you very much, Veronica, for sharing your knowledge and
Yes,
experience. And
I would
uh,
I'd love to invite the participants today to join the today's chat, where is a collaboration day. So if you want to pitch,
oh,
find a partner, I think it's a great place to do that. And I can tell you, many of the people who have joined today have actually found partners there, and
mhm,
need person to go to for everything that is around books, but in a very
mhm.
way, and how to build your system around the book.
Yes, and you have given me just an idea that I'm going to go start the participation day or collaboration day on Author Circle as well. Just authors or want to be authors, just come over, introduce yourself, talk to us about your book project. I would love to start that same tradition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.